There we go. We're back with an episode of the MDM podcast. Joe Morales, Cheryl Markowski here on this Tuesday after NFL divisional playoff weekend. We got a bunch of news on the Mets, the Yankees, the Nets, the Rangers. Every team in the local area or in the metro area has pretty much been in the news as of late. But let's start with Trevor because he's told me he has something that I don't know about. So go ahead. What do you got to do, Trevor?
Well, first of all, we're back to our normal spots.
That
That's
is
number
true. And let me say this. I love doing this job more than your job.
Yeah, I like being
Yours
spot.
yours is tough. I was a little uncomfortable with that, but we're happy that we're back in our regular spots. Go ahead. What do you got to tell us?
Yeah. Okay. So here are the odds to be the Eagles' next head coach, and I'll give you the top. I'll give you the top six.
Okay.
Actually, I'll tell you the odds. So Josh McDaniels is minus 300.
He's the favorite.
Yeah, Dennis Allen's plus 350.
Okay.
Todd Bowles is plus 350. Deuce Staley's plus 600. Nick Sanrana's plus 900, and then Joe Brady is plus 1100. Bieniemy's plus 1900, and Kellen Moore's plus 1900, and everybody else is 20-1 or higher.
Okay.
So who do you think comes out of that group? If I told you that was the
Those are such weird choices because everyone besides Bieniemy and maybe like what's his face, the guy from New England. Who'd you say? Joe Brady. Did you say Daniels or Joe Brady?
I said both.
But so I mean, those three guys, including Bieniemy, have like been in the cycle for a couple of even years now. I really don't have a clue. What do you think?
I don't know either. I would go with maybe Kellen Moore as a surprise.
Interested to see Todd Bowles in there.
Yeah, see, I told you that was a good question.
Well,
see,
if the Eagles go out and hire Todd Bowles, I'm sorry. If the Eagles go out and hire Todd Bowles, that would be a franchise-altering move, of course, and it would set them back so many years.
Yeah. See, Joe, I told you. I got a good question. I look.
It's Trevor's question of the week. Anyway, so we got a lot to do, and we'll start with the baseball. And it's been on ESPN all day. It's been on the radio all day. Wherever you go, you have to hear about this Jared Porter stuff. And so he was caught sending explicit photos to
rated R photo.
Yeah, we're not gonna say anything about any of it, but they were sent to a female reporter, and they put in the article that she happened to be foreign. So I don't know if that has any effect on it, but he was fired. And if they weren't gonna fire him, then I don't know what to tell you. You cannot go on with your job. You cannot go on as a franchise with Jared Porter at the helm. Because when people look at the New York Mets organization, if Jared Porter were to remain there, they would have looked at this guy who committed sexual harassment with a female reporter. And baseball has become integrated now. It's become an integrated sport with women, with minorities, and all that kind of stuff. He would have to work with a bunch of women. So keeping him in his job made no sense. First of all, guy's a creep. I mean, 60 unread text messages. He couldn't take the hint. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, obviously, it was Steve Cohen made the right move.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and there's no room for that. No tolerance for that at all. Now the Mets are back on the search again.
No, they are, and with them on the search, this is the second time in the past 2 years that they've fired some sort of figurehead inside the organization. Last year was Carlos Beltran after the Astros cheating scandal, and now it's the Jared Porter sexting scandal. So they just can't seem to get anything right. It's typical Mets.
It is, and I think that the Beltran thing was more of a bad look than this year's, because this one they kind of really didn't know about it compared to last year's. So I would say that this year's is not as bad as it was last year, because on the Mets front.
What do you mean? Whoa, you're saying the Astros cheating versus sexual harassment?
Well, I'm talking about saying like the Mets knew about Beltran and the cheating. They didn't know about this, so it wasn't like the Mets kind of glossed over.
Oh, you're saying it's not the Mets' fault? Yeah, I thought that's fine. That's fine. It's definitely not their fault. I mean, they're having a press conference as we speak, and I got a little bit of it that Sandy Alderson admitted that he had no idea. I mean, obviously, if you hire a guy like that, I mean, you got to get out of the sport if you still hire a guy like that. But he claims he had no idea about what was going on, and Jared Porter from these text messages that were in the ESPN article that dropped last night. First, when ESPN approached him about it, he admitted to talking to the woman, but not sending her these rated R pictures. And then after hey, Jared, we have proof. And they showed the pictures. He goes, well, those are just pictures I found on the internet. What? That's some like next level creepy stuff. This is a sick human being now.
Yeah, I think I agree. He needed to be tossed out, and there's no words to describe it. The thing for the Mets is that you can't keep dragging on that. Now they just got to get another GM to fill the
The
vacancy.
sooner they find the GM, the quicker this all goes away. Because if they have this lingering over their heads going into the beginning of spring training, almost like what they did with the Luis Rojas thing. Looking back on, I don't remember how quickly they hired him. I can't really remember that, but it's better for them to hire a GM quicker rather than later. Because they don't forget, they still have offseason stuff to do. They've still been rumored for Springer. They might still be rumored for other bullpen arms or starting pitcher arms. Like there's still other things out there that need to get done before spring training and the season starts.
Yeah, and the question I would say now is who's the candidates for the GM job now?
I've heard that Jerry Rico I think that's his name, or John Rico. He's been in the organization for a couple of years now, so he might just climb up through the ranks. I've heard someone, I forget his name, Zach something. He interviewed for the job back in the fall, and I think he might have been the runner up. I'm forgetting his name right now, but those are the two guys that I've heard. Do you have anyone in mind that you've been thinking about?
No, so it seems like it's going to be not any new guys that were from the fall. It seems like it's going to be the guys who missed out on the fall are going to get another shot
Pretty
again.
much. I don't think that this far into the offseason they're going to go out and do a whole nother interview process. Now, I will say this: there is a good opportunity, or there's a good chance that Sandy Alderson, who in the beginning of the offseason claimed that he was gonna handle the general manager duties, he might say, we're this far into the offseason, I'll just take care of it for the year, and we can interview everyone again next year. It's a possibility.
So like a interim guy for a season potentially.
Say that again.
So like an interim GM
Yeah,
for 1 year, and then
pretty much, because this is part of their plans. According to Sandy Olson and Steve Cohen, they didn't plan on having a general manager this year. It was kind of a shotgun marriage thing where they decided halfway into the fall that they wanted a general manager. So this has been planned. I'm sure they had the blueprints earlier in the offseason that Sandy Alderson could have been a general manager. I'm sure it's possible.
yeah. The other thing I would say is that I think for the Mets they need to get a permanent one instead of having just one and then redoing it again the next season.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you're in late January, at this point, don't rush it. Don't get in bed with someone that you don't think is going to be around for the long term. Have Sandy do it for this 1 year, and then next year, find your guy. Maybe maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe Theo Epstein, after his 1 year over at MLB, decides that he wants to get back into baseball, and now he wants to come work for the Mets. It's a strong possibility.
It is. It is. I think the question is going to be is just that will the candidates change a year from now is the question.
No, that'll be one, and I think they will. And at the same time, they won't. They'll probably bring in some of the same guys, but you never know what happens in a season. There could be someone from, I don't know, the Dodgers organization that comes available. And once those guys from the Dodgers organization become available, it's like if they're in a grocery store, they fly off the shelves. Everyone wants a piece of the Dodgers. So it's just not specific with the Dodgers. You can name a team, maybe the Yankees or the Red Sox. If
Well,
someone new and exciting becomes available, I'm sure they'll get an interview.
the guy that was fired that I think maybe should get another chance. How about the Angels former GM?
What do you mean? Who?
Um,
Oh, I know who
the
you're talking
guy that
about.
Billy.
Bill, I know who you're talking about. I don't know what his last name is, but you really want him?
Well, I mean, he did not put a terrible team together.
His name is
I mean,
Billy Epler, by the way. Billy Epler.
Epler. I mean, he was. I think he was. Cashman did mentor him, so the Yankee pipeline
Look
is
what
sort of there.
look what he's done in Los Angeles over the however long his tenure was. He couldn't build pitching to save his life.
He did get Mike Trout though.
Okay, hoopla. He is in the 1 year in the playoffs. I would find it hilarious if they signed him. I think that'd be funny, but You can't really you can't consider him. Look what he did in Los Angeles. He doesn't know how to develop pitching for his life.
No, I would say this: if you want to bring him in for another role, I would say he's good in finding bats. That I would say.
Okay, that's half the job. If you want to, it's not
Maybe
everything.
like I understand that. So maybe you bring him in as a a front office guy or something like that. That's what I'd
So,
say for
but
any
how does
team
that
out
solve?
there.
How does that solve the GM role?
It doesn't. I'm just saying that if nothing, he should be he should be at least have a little look at him. Is my thing.
So
It
not
doesn't
for
seem
general
too.
managers somewhere else in the organization.
Yes.
All right, that's listen. If you want to bring him into the organization to do something, that's fine. Not general manager. I would not want him as my general manager.
So we'll see what happens with the Mets. So they said that. So they said the search is going to take at least a couple days. Is that correct?
I'm sure. I'm sure they want to speed it up because they don't want this lingering going into spring training. But there was one move the Mets made before Jared Porter got fired, and that was to trade for Joey Lucchesi from San Diego. And they were the third team in this Padres and Pirates trade. And I didn't see this coming. I don't think anyone did. But after the original Pirates and Padres trade went through, and I want to get to that in a second because a whole of prospects went to Pittsburgh. It came out that there was a third team involved, and there was the Mets. So at first I thought it was okay, it's gonna be some scrappy prospect or whatever. But they actually get Joe Lucchesi out of this, and what he does is provide you some depth. He gives you competition. He gives Matz and Peterson competition at the back end of that rotation. And even if he misses the rotation, he could still be that good 6 star that sits in the bullpen and can give you that spot start every once in a while that you need.
Yeah. And let's not forget the Mets. They give a prospect too to the Pirates, so they're getting another prospect. Pittsburgh. They go with the number 14 prospect, the Mets too. So the Pirates are getting the Padres prospect plus another Mets
They got
prospect too.
six. Think about it. They got 6 prospects
5 from
for
San Diego, 1 from New
yeah,
York.
yes. So they got 6 in total for Joe Musgrove, who has a career 4.30 ERA. I mean, look at the trades the Pirates have made in the past with Chris Archer and Andrew McCutcheon and guys like that. Trades like that have not gone well for them. But for Joe Musgrove and a guy at his level, which is a 4 ERA plus, dude, they got 6 good prospects back for him. This Pirate team might be turning a corner. That's the best return I've seen for a trade for the Pirates in a while.
It has been. Now a lot of these guys are going to take a couple years to develop, so it could be a couple years down the line they could get turned into
Of
corner.
course, well, the Padres are, they're hitting the reset button, so there's going to be some bumps along the road. But
Yeah, so I would say the Pirates wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good this year. It'd be the same.
but
We're talking about
also
maybe
but also as
three or
for
four,
go ahead, sorry.
3 or 4 years. Maybe they'll start to get better.
No, they have a lot to do though. They got to replenish that farm system. And this trade really helped them out. I think they still have to move Jamie Centalion if they can find anyone to take him. I know he's always hurt, but that's probably their best player now. So there's still some guys to ship out if you're the Pirates and replenish that farm system. And it seems like Ben Sherrington and that new Pirates front office seems to know what they're doing because they got 6 prospects back for a pitcher with a 4 ERA.
Yeah.
And look what the Padres got. The Padres didn't need Joe Musgrove. I don't get why they traded him. Now, they still have the best farm system in baseball for all these trades they've done with Snell, with Darvish, and now Musgrove. All of these trades they've done, they still have the top farm system in the league.
And they still have their best prospect they've kept.
That's what I'm saying. They still have their best prospects. That is elite level front office. That is elite level trading. But for the Padres rotation now, what are they going to do? They got like 8 or 9 guys that they can do it. And I've seen a report out of San Diego now that they could go with a 6-man rotation. And with all the guys they've gotten, it seems more and more likely.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to give you this. I just saw this. I'm going to give you the Dodgers rotation
Mhm.
and the Padres rotation.
Okay.
And you got to say which one would you pick, okay?
Let's do it.
For the Dodgers, Kershaw, Bueller, David Price. Remember, he's back now. He opted out, so he's back this season. Dustin May and Julio Urias. The Padres, Darvish, Snell, Lamet, Musgrove, Paddock.
They're close.
Very close.
They really are close. And I think I'd still give the edge to the Dodgers because look at the guys in the Dodgers rotation. Kershaw, Price, Bueller, May. They have some experience here. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not saying the
but
Padres aren't experienced, but there's still some young guys there that have yet to come up and prove themselves.
yeah, I would say the Dodgers, but the slightest of advantages.
No, as the offseason has gone on, dude, the margin of error or the silver lining between the Dodgers and the Padres has gotten smaller and smaller. Now, do you still think the Padres are like a pitcher away from competing with the Dodgers? You think they're there right now?
Well, I would say right now, if you told me, if the division race was going to happen now, I would say it'd be very close. Wouldn't you agree? I would think the
Hmm.
Dodgers would win it small.
Right, and I know you can continue that in a second, but I know it was only a 60-game season this year, but the Padres gave them a run for their money.
They did. In the end, the Dodgers kind of pulled away in the end. But for 40 or 50 games, it was still in question.
Hmm. No, and it definitely will be in question this year with all the additions they've had, with all the young superstars they've developed, and I've heard that Fernando Tatis is actually near an extension. That's not official,
Yeah,
but that's been rumored for the past couple weeks now.
yeah, and the other thing too is, you take a look at the NL West in general. The Dodgers and Padres. I mean, do you really see anybody else contending? I mean,
Not at all.
the Rockies are a disaster right now.
Of course.
The Giants are kind of rebuilding,
Hmm.
and the only other team left, the Diamondbacks. They're somewhat.
They're
They're
kind
going
of
to
in
be
the
what
middle of nowhere. I don't know what to think of them
they're
right now.
they're like a 500 team possibly.
Uh huh.
So I mean, if the Diamondbacks are 500, I don't see any of those other three teams competing with those two.
No, dude, this is a two-horse race between the Dodgers and the Padres. So going into the season, it's going to be close. It'll be close throughout the whole season. But right now, at this moment, I'd still give the edge to the Dodgers just by a little bit. Just by
But
a
it's
little
very
bit.
close.
Very, very close. You want anything else on the Mets?
No, I would say we are moving. The one thing I would say is we're starting to see free agency slowly starting to pick up a little bit.
You're right. Even today alone, we had what's his face, Kirby Yates.
Not
To
official though.
not
Close.
official, but it looks like he's going into Toronto. That's a big addition for them. They got their
And they
closer.
got Tyler. And they got Tyler Chatwood last night.
What a move! Making moves up there.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
And then John Lester to the Nationals.
That was a big one. Look at that
So
rotation, dude.
yeah,
It's
the
insane.
one thing I would say is Bauer's still the big one out there.
Hmm. Yeah.
We don't know. There's still a couple big names that are still out there that we
You
that we
can
don't
cut
know.
them. You can cut the Mets off his list.
I think the Mets are not getting him.
The Mets aren't getting him. The Angels would be such a great spot for him.
I'll give you a dark horse team.
What's that?
And it seems like in the last couple of days they've been willing to spend all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
They woke up. I'll give you a dark horse team. I'll give you the Yankees.
Don't say the Yankees. No, I don't want him. I don't want him.
I'm
Look
just
at
saying.
no. But
I'm just
I want you to think about it. Look at all the money he's demanding more money than Garrett Cole. Do you think he's a better pitcher than Garrett Cole?
no, but I would just say this. It looks like, and it didn't look like this a couple of weeks ago. It looks like after the last few days, the Yankees are willing to spend.
Well, that's because they've gotten Divisional Round we talked about last week. But between now and then, they got Corey Kluber, and I didn't get your thoughts on this, but that's a great signing. He fits so well, and I will say this: it's a 1-year deal, and I saw people complaining about the $10 million he's owed this year. It's a 1-year deal. Give it up. He's going to be a great starter for them. I know he's had his injury troubles, but he is going to fit in great with this young Yankee rotation.
Two questions I have is he's had a lot of injuries the past couple of years.
Pitched one
That's
inning
number
this
one.
year.
Yeah, that's concerning. Number two is, does he still have the same talent after those injuries? And you know what? For a guy who's won a Cy Young and his price is an all-time low now, I mean, it's worth taking a flyer on the guy.
Definitely.
If
Absolutely.
and the other thing too is, now it looks like Tanaka's not going to come back. That's what I've been hearing.
No, I've seen that Tanaka's probably done now. But
The good news is, he's not going to go to a different MLB team. He'll go back to Japan.
He's going back to Japan, and that's pretty sad because he's a major league pitcher. He really is an elite major league pitcher. I shouldn't say elite, but he's got really good stuff. He could be a great major league pitcher. Now, if it's not for the Yankees, I heard he wants to go back to Japan, like you said. But it's just a shame that he won't be able to come back to the Yankees. I really wanted him this year. He's not homegrown, but he's been here for all of his life in America. Like it's almost like developing your own player. You grow attached to him.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say too is I heard that the Reds asked for Gleyber Torres. Good job by Cashman once again, not committing too much to one player.
Oh, you hear about that?
He's been good with that.
You heard about that with Luis Castillo?
Yeah, so they asked for Torres, and Cashman, he's done a good job. He won't over trade for somebody. He's done a good job with that.
Yeah, and here's what happened with those Castillo rumors. So you're not on Twitter, so I'll tell you what happened. There were rumors going around all weekend, and I mean all weekend. It started Friday. It didn't end until Sunday when Passon put out that tweet that it's not happening. But
And Joe, just to say something, I heard that the deal was done. I thought, and I told you this, I didn't think the deal was done, but I thought, there had to be at least something to those rumors. Was my thing.
No, I don't believe that at all. You had these no-name beat reporters from the Dominican Republic who no one's ever heard of. They're never right, and Yankee fans fell for them. I feel bad because this is the most gullible franchise in sports. They
Yeah,
get the smallest amount of rumor. They get the smallest amount, and they're ready to jump off a building because they could get Gleyber Torres.
yeah, and the other thing too is, but we did hear reliable sources did say that the Yankees and Castillo trade was talk.
hmm But
They
then the
didn't say it
general
was.
manager came out and said they were dead
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, the general manager wording is for 2021. So what does that mean after this season? I think that was interesting wording. He said
from
that
the
he didn't.
from the Reds GM.
Yeah, he only said for 2021. He didn't say beyond that. So my thing is he going to get traded next offseason?
I mean,
I thought that was.
it's a question. It's a conversation to be had next offseason.
Yeah, I'm just saying the wording, just saying 2021. I mean, wouldn't you agree that's interesting wording to say just for the season?
I don't take much stock into that.
I'm just saying.
But
I could be wrong. I'm just saying. Maybe next season, off season, possibly.
and to be quite honest, I wasn't really looking at what he said because I was more baffled that they had the balls to ask for Gleyber Torres, and I saw this on Twitter, so this isn't my thought. Look what the Padres had to give up for Blake Snell. Look what they gave up for Yu Darvish, and the Reds have the audacity to call up and ask for Gleyber Torres. I understand shortstop's a need for them, but do they not understand who Gleyber Torres is and how valuable he is?
Yeah, and good job by Cashman saying no. The one thing I
hmm
would have said was, if you're talking about a main offensive player, I would have thought they would have asked for Voit. Would be my thing.
I would have done Voit.
Because they kind of need a first baseman, the Reds. I mean, Votto's getting up there. You know how long he's going to be
Yeah,
there.
but Votto still produces. I actually had this conversation with someone earlier today. Votto still produces. He still gives you a
Yeah,
really high OBP.
I agree, but I'm just saying, I don't know how much he's got left. He got, he probably doesn't have that much left in his major league career. So, I would have thought they would have asked for Voit. My would have thing. I don't know if I sound crazy for that, but
Here's
that's
what
what
I
I thought
would have done. Here's what I would have did. I would have called up the Reds and said, "All right, let's make this work. I will give you Clinton Frazier and a package of
Mhm.
prospects. If the Reds said yes, I'm not saying they would, but if they said yes, you do that trade. Let's say it's Frazier, Schmidt, I don't know, Garcia, whatever. You put your prospects in there.
Well, I'll tell you to go.
Good.
Frazier, Schmidt, Andahar, and Florala. What would you say to that?
I don't think the Reds want Andahar. I don't think anyone wants Andahar. He's not good.
You don't think so?
I don't think anyone wants Andahar now.
Well, let's just take Andahar out, and I'll throw in. How about Frazier, Voit, Schmidt, and Florala? What would you say to that?
I would do it.
If you're the Reds GM, do you accept that?
Yes, I would accept it from the Reds. I would do it from the Yankees. No, actually, I'll say this. I would only do it if I'm the Yankees if I got Michael Brantley on line 2 and I'm signing him right away. The only way I trade Clint Frazier is if Michael Brantley has the pen in his hand and is ready to sign. Because without that, I wouldn't do the trade. Michael Brantley, I told someone else this before. Michael Brantley is the one piece that's standing in the way of the Yankees and being a legitimate World Series contender. I'm not saying they're not, but if they're serious, if they want to win the World Series, Michael Brantley is a guy.
What about Puig? He's still out there.
I don't want Puig. I want a lefty that hits 300 every year. I can hit 25 homers with the short porch. I want Michael Brantley. And Puig's got all those antics. I'm not ready to give him money.
No.
Wait. I got a question for you.
But the question is, if you sign Bentley, you got a really overflowing outfield. Hicks, a Judge, Frazier.
No. They're going to trade Frazier. That's my thing.
Oh, you're saying only sign Brantley if they trade Frazier?
Yes.
Okay. I misspoke there. So yes, then I would say that's fine. Then.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like Frazier because of his attitude, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his.
But you want to sign Puig?
Well, he didn't do anything to the Yankees. Frazier, he gets sent down. He has, he makes comments, which I don't like.
Right,
Puig hasn't done anything.
Every other day, Puig's picking a fight with someone.
I understand that. I'm just saying that if you ask me what my preference would be between Brantley and Puig, I would say Brantley. But if I had to sign Puig, for an outfielder, I would sign the guy. I'm saying I wouldn't like it, but I would sign the guy.
If I am not 100% in on Michael Brantley, if the deal is not if the deal is 1% iffy, like shaky that we can't get him, then I'm not doing the trade. If I know 100% I can get Michael Brantley, then I will do the trade. But
Okay.
good job. What's up? We got anything
I,
else in
I,
the Yankees?
I got a question for you now,
What's up?
and this is the last question.
Mhm.
Are the Yankees done this offseason? Yes or no?
I think so.
I don't
I
think so.
think Cashman's woken up for his weekend now. He can go back to bed.
I think the Yankees still have. I think the Yankees still have one more move.
Big move or something small?
I don't know. All I say is they got one more move. It's not going to be a small move. It's either going to be a medium, like a middle of the road move, or a big move. And don't ask me who it's going to be. Don't ask what's going to be given up. I'm just telling you, I think they have one more middle of the road or big move left.
Trevor,
That's all I'll say.
what's it going to be and who are they giving up?
I I can tell you. The one thing I can tell you is I think it will most likely be a pitcher.
A
That I
pitcher.
can tell
A
you.
relief pitcher or a starting pitcher?
Starting, I can tell you it's going to be. I would say most likely a starting pitcher, but I don't know who it's going to be or what they're going to give up. But I can tell you it's most likely going to be a starting pitcher.
Okay. Our baseball insider Trevor. All right. We got 4 games, NFL games from this weekend that we should get into. And I do want to make this clear before we start. So every Monday we do our playoff rankings. I'm not ready to do those, dude. With the uncertainty of Mahomes, I am just not ready to commit to rankings yet. Are you okay with moving that to Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right,
And
cool.
and we have. By the way, if you're just curious, me and Joe do not get any inside information that the public doesn't get. So we are in the same boat as you. We do not know if Mahomes is playing
If we did,
because
we would do picks today.
yes, because some people ask me, how do you know this information beforehand? I say I do not have an inside
People
source.
asked you that?
Yes, because you're saying I'm like I get like the news before others, like 5 minutes before.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying you just got to download some good apps. That's how you get the
What
information
apps
before
are
everybody
they?
else.
Are you willing to share your secrets?
Well, Bleacher Report.
Okay.
I have a lot of baseball Instagram, so I get asked that question once in a while. Insights? I say I don't have any inside sources. I just
Do
I
I
just have a
get
lot of.
news before you do?
Sometimes depends.
You know where I get it from, right?
Yeah, Twitter.
Twitter. It's the easiest
No,
app.
normally sometimes maybe you go like 5 minutes before I get it, or
Mhm.
it happens at the same time.
Mhm.
So
All right. So there's your insider Trevor admitting he has sources and he knows information before you. So here we go. 4 games. We'll start with the Rams and Packers. So it was a great day to start the day, and I told you this on Thursday when Trevor was hosting that this game wasn't going to be as interesting as the other games. Now I was wrong. It got pretty close towards the end, but it was the appetizer. It was the undercard before the 3 big games that would happen later on in the weekend. So the one thing I was looking forward to most in this game was Devontae Adams against Jalen Ramsey. And I can tell you right now, Devontae Adams won the battle, and so did the Packers. And it wasn't even just Devontae Adams that went off. That kid Allen Lazard had a big game, and later on in the game, he was the one that exposed that Rams secondary on that big pass in the fourth quarter.
I agree. I thought the Packers played pretty well. Um, I don't know if it was their A game. I don't know if they needed their A game, but it was a good win for them. I think they should have won the game. They did. The defense played well. At the end, they got a little bit shaky. They kind of they
They
made
got cute.
the deep.
They got cute.
Yeah, yeah. But the offense was fine. Rodgers played well. Obviously, the thing. Jones had a big game. The thing is going to be is obviously next week is going to be a much tougher competition than the Rams.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, as for the Rams, I noticed this: their biggest killer. They didn't put any pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They didn't have a sack all game. The Packers' offensive line, all you had to do was watch the game for a few minutes. Aaron Rodgers had time to build a tent in that pocket. I saw some graphics on ESPN all weekend that he had, at some points, 5 seconds to figure out where he was going to throw the ball. So where was Aaron Donald the other day? Where was he?
I don't think he was 100%. That would be my thing. He didn't look 100%.
That could be it. That could be it.
So obviously the defense did not show up. The pass rush didn't show up. The thing I found interesting is that McVay and Goff are not on the same page at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that report. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we head into the offseason for the Rams.
Can I get your opinion on something?
Yeah.
Sean McVay has such a punchable face. The guy thinks he invented football. I'm just not a fan of Sean McVay. I don't think Jared Goff is good at all. If you want to find the quarterback that is worse than Daniel Jones, you can point at Jared Goff.
I'll give you a dark horse team for Watson. How about the Rams? If things go sideways between him and the coach,
We're going to get in the Rams in a few minutes, but McVay's not out because again,
Goff,
everyone in Los Angeles looks at him like he invented football.
yeah,
I have no clue
there,
why.
there's a small chance that Goff might be out.
I could see that. Goff is not good. I'm not saying people say he's good, but the Rams need to come to the realization that they're not going to win with Jared Goff. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I saw him in college. I thought he was good. He wasn't great.
He,
I didn't think he was great. I thought he was just good.
in terms of NFL quarterbacks, he's bottom tier. He's no
I would
good.
say so. I would say he's in maybe the mid-20s or something like that.
Hmm. But is he better than Daniel Jones?
I think him and Jones
Pretty close.
are pretty close. The one thing I think I would give Jones more of an edge than Goff because he runs the ball better.
Sorry, I just fell, but I'm joking. But yeah, definitely. I think if you put the stats together and if you give Daniel Jones a couple more years, he'll be better than Goff because I don't think Goff is good at all. But anyway, let's get back to the game. The Rams also didn't have an answer for Aaron Jones. He had a big game, the Packers running back. And all in all, the defense just couldn't handle Aaron Rodgers. It was pretty sad. Put up 32 points. That is the number one ranked defense in the league. And I know the Packers offense is tremendous. Have they proven to you that I'm talking about the Packers, have they proven to you that they're an elite offense?
I would say they're a very good offense. I think the question is going to be is next week is the test, in my opinion, because when they played the Bucks in Week 6, I understand it was an early season game, but
Doesn't matter.
you know
Doesn't matter. I want
I understand.
I want every early season matchup thrown out the window. Does not matter.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens next week. I'm very curious because I think the Bucks have the better weapons on offense. I think than the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a very interesting matchup. But I think the Packers offense is a top 10 offense.
No, I can top 10 easy. Top 5, he's getting there. I think in terms of offenses right now, it's Bucks and Packers in no respective order. Those are the top 2 offenses. And the
Well,
defenses are meh, but the Packers defense has shown you a lot in the playoffs so far.
if the Chiefs have Mahomes, I would say they're there too.
No, I'm talking about the NFC.
Oh, okay.
Would you agree that they're 1 and 2 in no order?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to the Bucks game because you mentioned them. And before we start, I will say hats off to Breeze. And if this is the end, what a career and what a great matchup to end his career, him and Brady.
And taking a look at the Superdome one final time, walking off,
Mm-hmm.
I had tears in my eyes.
Now it was something else. And good.
Him talking to Brady at the
Oh,
end
you saw
after the
that? That
game.
was so cool.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is, if this is the end, and rumors say that it is,
Mm-hmm.
what a career, Hall of Famer,
Definitely.
what a career.
Definitely.
He'll be missed, and I wish him all the best.
100%. Yeah, that video of him and Brady at the end of the game was pretty cool. And it was a Brady playing catch with Breeze's son. That was super cool. But it wasn't either quarterback's best game. And because of it, it kind of felt sluggish. Was I the only one that felt like that?
The later part got more offensive, but the early part was definitely sluggish.
Right. But because Brady wasn't on his A game, the running game for Tampa, and let's call it like it is, the running game for Tampa is an embarrassment. But they had 2 guys in this game rush for over 60 yards, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones.
They did, and you know you got to give him credit. Tom Brady, he didn't. The one thing I would say about Brady is, Breeze had 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I'd say about Brady is that he didn't have the best passing game, but he did not. He's not turned the ball over though.
No, Brady, listen, when Brady's not on his A game, even at 42 years old, he's not going to let you see it, right? He's not going to let you see that he's making mistakes because he made mistakes, but he's not going to let it bother him and he's not going to let it stop him from winning a football game.
Yeah, and the Bucks defense played very well. I mean, 13 points off of turnovers.
Well,
I mean,
well,
hey, they did get a few
no,
turnovers.
no, I'm not saying they didn't play good, but a lot of the reason why the Bucks had 30 points was because a couple of those interceptions, I think 2 for that matter, put the Bucks in great field possession and
Yeah,
great field position.
so you talk about the Bucks defense being a little iffy there. They played very well this past Sunday. I mean,
Well,
they gave
you
the
know why I say they're iffy? Because I wasn't high on the Saints going into this week. I wasn't high on them going into the playoffs. I kept telling you. I know I sound like a broken record. I kept telling you that the Saints offense looked sluggish, and I wasn't high on them. They struggled against the Bears, and they scored less points against the Bucks than they did against the Bears.
yeah, and you know, and, I agree. The offense put up the same amount of numbers as they did the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And Alvin Kamara had a decent game, 85 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But really, after that, I really didn't see too much. I mean, Traquan Smith, the cool play I would say for the Saints, that was a really good call from the Jameis
The
Winston.
Jameis
Yeah,
pass, that was awesome. No,
yeah,
I
and
will say, go ahead.
and we'll see next year if Brees doesn't come back. Is it Taysom Hill? Is it Winston? We'll see what happens.
And also, the 445 train has come to pick up Trevor, so he will be leaving. No, I'm joking.
Yes,
No, but I will say this for Breeze. It was kind of sad because as the game progressed, it was like watching his career slowly die with the overthrows and the 3 interceptions and the miscues. He couldn't get into the red zone. And like I said before, I said it against the Bears. They didn't look good all postseason. But aside from that, the only good things that went well for the Saints was actually the punt returner. Deontay Harris had 2 great returns, both in the early part of the game,
yes,
right?
yes.
And I will say this on the Saints: they're gonna have some offseason problems. They have they're a ton of money over the cap. They have no quarterback. Michael Thomas is angry. They have some really, really big questions going into this offseason.
Yep, and we will address this on our off-season preview
Oh,
show
absolutely, definitely,
in a couple weeks coming up.
good spot. But give us a little insight. What do you think is the quarterback solution in Tampa if this is the end for Breeze?
Trade
Darnold?
Watson.
Minshew? I don't know.
Well, I don't know if they'd go with Minshew. I mean, I think Winston and Hill could be better than
Yeah,
Minshew.
what about Taysom Hill? You think they keep him?
I think they keep him. The question is going to be: is it an internal option? Is it a external option? We don't know yet. All I can tell you is, Sean Payton is a good enough coach to figure it out.
Well, they have Jameis Winston, who's still pretty young on the roster.
Yeah.
They
So
could
like I said,
re-sign him and go with it.
I don't think it would be Minshew or Darnold because I think they have two people who are
Better.
better or like him. So I don't know if they would go with that. But Watson, I could see definitely.
No, but if you want to stay cheap and you want to keep things affordable, you could do some sort of platoon with Winston and Hill.
You could.
That's a pretty good option. If you don't want to go out and trade for a Deshaun Watson or spend on a quarterback, that is definitely something I'd look into.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Potentially, maybe draft a quarterback. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe they might. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Or draft one at least have some add another face to competition. We'll see.
It's a strong possibility. So let's get into the AFC games now, and we'll start with Ravens Bills. And I hyped this game up to be like the game of the century, but it didn't live up to his hype. Let's call it.
It was the worst game of the slate. Thanks, Joe.
Really? You think that was the worst game?
Well, the worst game because it wasn't entertaining.
It wasn't. But
thanks, Joe.
Was
you really put the whammy on that
one. you did say that I ruined it for everyone when I said it was going to be the biggest game of the weekend.
You did ruin it, yeah.
Still had a ton of fun watching, though, right?
I agree. The punters really did well. I'll tell you that.
Did they actually? Let's go. I want to see the box score. Let's see if Trevor's actually lying or not. Hold on. Let's look at the punters. What team want to look at?
The Ravens.
All right, Ravens punters. Let's see this. Ravens punter Sam Koch, 4 punts, 163 yards. It's a 40 average. It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
You're right.
Yeah.
Trevor watches his punting, but no, it wasn't the marquee quarterback matchup I anticipated. But I love me a game where great defenses shine, and that's what we had. And we'll start with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and Lamar looked totally lost throughout most of the game. He was running around like a chicken with no head. I was surprised to see after the game when I looked at the box score there were only 6 sacks. It felt like there was much more. He was scrambling out of the pocket. He had no idea what he was doing.
And he was held to 34 yards rushing. And you know what? It was terrible to see that he couldn't finish out the game.
No, it was. Did we ever find out what that was?
I think it was concussion protocol.
That's not good. We had 2 quarterbacks on the concussion protocol this weekend.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw that they cut Mark Ingram. I saw that this morning.
To save some money with that.
I think the Ravens are going to be a different team heading into next season. That's just a sneaky suspicion.
Different like coach or just different roster?
Different roster.
Okay, that's interesting. But
I'm gonna say one thing. I think it's going to be more like I don't know. I want to say I'm trying to compare it to an NBA team that I can remember, like a roster overhaul. More something like a quick Nets fix or something like that.
Like a trade for Harden, or just shipping out everyone to make room for Harden and Kyrie, or for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Or maybe both, a trade and shipping out. We'll
Okay.
see.
So you think the Ravens do something big?
Yes.
Okay. I will say this though on the Ravens. The defense looked great. They only allowed one touchdown to the Bills.
Yeah,
And the
Allen didn't
Bills
have that
defense had
great
the
of a
other
game.
touchdown. What's up?
And Allen didn't have that great of a game. He had an okay game.
No, he wasn't bad. He just wasn't, the electrifying Josh Allen we saw this year.
Yeah. And give credit to both defenses, especially the Bills defense. And this is what a good team does. Dogfight to the end, they come
Definitely.
out on top.
Definitely. And look, did you remember what the wind was there? Because
Oh
the
my God! It
kickers
was like a
missing kicks
hurricane
left and
coming.
right. I know. And it had some effect on the way both quarterbacks threw. I saw Lamar, a couple of his overthrows were moved to the right or left because of the wind.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention one more thing on the Ravens offense. There was only one receiver with more than 60 yards, and that was Hollywood Brown. But also on the ground, both running backs, so that would be Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, both 10 carries, both 42 yards. So the Ravens got virtually nothing on the ground and next to nothing in the air, with the exception of Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a big overhaul in Baltimore. That's just my opinion.
That's fair. What do you think about the Bills? I think they're for real, and I've been high on them all postseason. They got a tough matchup next week, depending on what happens with Mahomes.
Yes, I agree. I did a real deal.
All right, so we got one more game, Browns Chiefs. As I move that to the side, story of the game: Mahomes leaving in the third quarter with the concussion. We still don't know what's going on with him, if he's playing or not. But I did see today or this afternoon, right before we came on, that he might be practicing Wednesday.
Anything could happen, like I said.
Good one.
So, but I'm really scary to see the guy just almost basically collapse on the field.
It was a collapse, you're right. And I didn't know if it was his knee at first, or because he had some knee problems the whole game too.
But then a knee injury, if you had a knee injury, you wouldn't collapse like that on the floor.
Yeah, right. And that was from the hit that he took from behind the head.
Yeah, but before that, he played really well before that. And the thing is that rushing touchdown was good. And by the way, I heard that throw into the stands went into like the last deck of the stadium.
I did see that. Yeah.
And I heard it was caught, by the way, too. So wow,
really,
that was something. Yes, Jim Nantz reporting that it was caught on the fly.
Yeah, Jim Nantz on that. I want to talk about other stuff too in the game, but on that last play where Henny threw the pass on, was it 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1?
Yeah.
You hear what Nantz sounded like? I'm like, it was like he was on cocaine. He was like running around like it was crazy. He was so excited.
That's what an announcer's supposed to be.
That's a good announcer. I think Jim Nantz. Yeah. And Tony Romo. I'll talk about Tony Romo. Tony Romo, he really is one of the best out there. He after football, he's done a good job.
And Nancy Romo for the Super Bowl, that's a good team.
That's gonna be awesome. Remember the last time Romo did a Super Bowl? He was also this energetic. You got to listen. If you want to be a good announcer, you got to be energetic.
Yeah.
All right. So back to the game. Kansas City early in the game established like a big enough lead that they were able to hang on. And as for Henny, he had a couple massive overthrows and an interception in the end zone. But he's a backup quarterback. You expect that from him.
But I will say this: when he needed to make a big throw, he did make a big throw.
You're right. He did eventually go 6 for 8, and you say throws. He had that massive 13-yard run that set them in. It basically was victory formation after the pass.
Well, I'm basically telling you, on the 4th and 1 and a couple of throws before that, and the 4th and 1 too, and a couple of third downs before that, he didn't make key throws.
He did. No, Henny came in and he played like a competent backup quarterback. And I read into more about Chad Henne. Guy was a 2nd-round pick. He's like 35 years old. It was his first playoff game. He was with them last year. But he might have an opportunity next weekend to play Buffalo and send his team to the Super Bowl.
I agree. And the one thing is, even if Mahomes plays, it's a great game. Even if he doesn't play, I think it's still a very interesting game with Henne.
Right. And the storyline will be, going into that game, if Mahomes isn't there, are the Chiefs good enough without Patrick Mahomes to beat a superior team in the AFC? Do you think they are?
Very close. Very close.
Give us a little prediction. You think the Bills get it, or are you not too sure yet?
I don't know. You're gonna have to. I need to see what happens. And Joe, I'm just receiving some breaking news as I was getting. The Mets won't hire a new GM.
So it's gonna be Olsen, like I said.
Now the team will not hire a new GM until off season. So we don't know who it's gonna be, but that's I can tell you. So I just received that news.
So there you go. That's what I told you. I told you Sandy Alderson is going to run this until, I don't know, next offseason when they're ready to hire a GM, because
Yep.
he had planned to do this.
Yeah.
That's what I told you. Okay. Now, a couple things on Cleveland. Going into this offseason, they have some questions to answer. They have a ton of money to spend. They have their quarterback. Now, I said they had a ton of questions. They don't. But they really should fix up their run defense. You saw with
They should,
Henny,
yes.
you saw the secondaries like Swiss cheese. They got to fix something up.
I agree. The defense has to be fixed up. But Cleveland, Stefanski, I see the cultural starting to move in the right direction.
No, you're right. And Andy Reid going into this AFC Championship game, he's got some guts, man. It takes a lot to throw the ball with your backup quarterback on 3rd and 1.
You gotta give the guy credit. 3 AFC Championship games hosting in a row. I mean, he's done that twice now with the Eagles too. So, guy deserves a lot of credit.
No, and I got to ask you this. What are your thoughts on that touchback in the end zone rule?
I think it's the right rule. If he
Oh,
lost
come on.
control of the ball as he was going into the end zone, it's a touchback. And
I hate this rule.
as much as I hate the rule, rules are rules. If it's a rule and it happened, you got the result of the rule is whatever the result of the rule is.
But
Even if you hate it, if you don't hate it, rules are rules.
it doesn't make sense. How come it only applies in the end zone?
I understand that. I think it should be changed, but like I said before, rules are rules. It's got to be followed.
Let me ask this. I heard this idea called into the fan last night. So, if that happens in the end zone, the team that had the ball has to go back to their 20-yard line and do it all over again and try and get into the end zone again. Would you be opposed to that instead of a touchback?
No, I would be. I think that would be not a bad idea.
Is it a bad idea or no?
No, it's not a bad idea.
Okay. All right. So there we go. We got those games all done, and we touched on all 4 football games, right?
Yes.
All right. So we got a couple more things on football and guess the spread for Trevor. Even though he probably seen it right now, we still got to do it. But 2 things. Number 1, Rob Saleh had his not press conference, but he did officially sign today. And I got a quote from him that should get Jet fans excited. Here it is. There are no shortcuts to success. I am committed to working with Joe, who's Joe Douglas, to build this team the right way, with talented players that play fast and smart, and the staff that supports and helps develop them through it all. Trevor, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great quote, and Jet fans should be very excited.
They should be excited. And look back to what Joe Judge did in his press conference last year. He got Jet fans excited. So I think Salah's press conference is Thursday, so we'll all be watching that. He's got to get this fan base really excited.
I agree.
All right. I know you're very passionate about what Deshaun Watson's doing, and I heard that he's very angry at the team. I also heard that he was spending the weekend in New York, and he was at the Nets game last night.
Yes, rumors are swirling all around. So the question is, I think he will go to. I think there's a good chance he'll be a MetLife Stadium team. The question is, which MetLife Stadium team?
If you would ask me more Giants or Jets, I would say Jets because they have the draft capital to do it. But don't rule out the Giants. They could They could have a package where Daniel Jones goes there with a couple picks, like you suggested to me over text earlier.
I would definitely take that trade. I think Watson would be a great addition.
Whenever you have the opportunity to trade for a quarterback like this, like you almost have to do it. Every team that isn't the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, or Seattle Seahawks should be calling up. Or even the Ravens should consider it. He's better.
Yeah.
But that's everyone there. He's the 3rd best quarterback in this league. Everyone needs to be taking this seriously. Everyone needs to be calling up. Because when you have the opportunity to get this, you have to do it.
Except for the Jaguars, because they got Trevor Lawrence.
I'd rather Deshaun Watson over Trevor Lawrence.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Jaguars are a tough spot, man.
No, if Houston calls up and asks them for the pick for Deshaun Watson, 100% I'd do it. 100%.
Tough spot. It's a tough spot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, couple things we got to get into with the football. Let's do guess the spread first. Have you seen the lines at all?
Not really.
All right, so I see a couple of them have moved. So if you did see them open,
well, it's a short week, so
yes,
it's not gonna take that long.
Bucks and Packers.
Packers were 3.5.
3.
Oh.
And then Bills and Chiefs.
This is a tough one to read because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are probably 4.
3.
That wasn't bad though. That's a tough read though
That is a
for a
tough read.
line.
I don't know what the. What do you think the market's thinking there?
That Mahomes, if he plays, won't be 100%.
Okay, that's fair. All right, and then what's going on in the EPL? Trevor segment time.
Well, I see a game right now, Leicester and Chelsea. It's 2-0 Leicester with in the 87th minute, so it's going to be a big win for them.
Mm-hmm.
We had one game yesterday. Arsenal shut out Newcastle 3-0, so another win for them.
Congratulations.
So now they've moved into 10th all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So we're slowly started by the week rise, and if the Arsenal wins another game, they can move from 10th to 7th potentially in one win.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I'm looking
so
at the
they're starting
draft.
to they have regained their form.
Oh, they were so close to relegation. What happened?
But I'll give you a good game by the way. Tomorrow, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's Manchester City and Aston Villa. Now I said Manchester City got to a slow start, and I said you watch they're going to come right back into form, and all of a sudden they're third all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, watch out, slow start. So now they're back where they're supposed to be. They are just 3 points out from the lead, and Leicester City is most likely going to be on top of the table if they hold on to the 2-goal lead with about 5 minutes to go, which they should.
Do you have that game on right now?
I do have a game on watching it in the background.
There you go.
So that's a really good game. Manchester City could potentially leap into the first spot with a win, and Aston Villa, who is struggling as of late, who has fallen behind Arsenal, which is surprising after they were way ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
But a win for them today or tomorrow, excuse me, could move them potentially back into 8th. So that's my game. A really good game. So again, it's a really wide open title race,
Right.
and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be fun coming down the stretch in the second half.
There you go. That's Trevor's EPL, and I got basketball and hockey for you tonight. Number one, we got a 2-game slate in the NBA, so it's very easy to choose. I got New Orleans and Utah. All right, it's a very easy night in the NBA, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'll tell
And
you
no
why I
games
like
until
this.
9 o'clock too.
That's what I'm saying. I'll tell you in a second why I like this. So New Orleans is coming off of a 5-game losing streak, and they beat the Kings the other night, and now they have to go against Utah. So this is a pivotal moment for New Orleans early in the season. They can go on a nice little winning streak here, or they can go back to their losing ways. On the other side, Utah is on a 5-game winning streak of their own. They're one of the hottest teams in the league. So that's my game in the NBA, and over in the NHL, I'll give you 2. Devils Rangers, of course, what a great rivalry. I'll be watching that. And that is why I like that the NBA games are on at 9, because I can watch the Devils and the Rangers at 7. When that game ends at around 9:30ish, I have two NBA games to go to. So
That's
there's
right.
that. And then I'll also give you Washington and Pittsburgh. Both East
Yeah.
Division rivals this year, both great teams. And I'll give you one more, because I saw this too. Where were they? I just saw it. Buffalo and Philadelphia. Buffalo won 5-0 yesterday against, I think it was Pittsburgh. So they're off to a good start. I'll give you Buffalo at Philadelphia.
All right. And Joe, I have to ask you this one question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy now that the Nets won last night?
I was about to get into that. So I have questions for you about the Nets too. I want to see what you hear about it. But last night, I know you were watching. It was one of the best games that'll happen all this year. It was so entertaining, back and forth, close leads, big leads for a little bit.
I can only imagine you, Joe. You were probably spent like
Last 12 minutes, I was standing up. But it's two of the best teams in the East. And here's the thing: without Kyrie Irving, they were able to beat the Bucks.
and
And
he's expected to be back against Cleveland
tomorrow
which
night,
I've been told.
which is
Yes,
did you see his press conference today?
I did not.
Okay, so if I want you to finish this up, and when you get the time, go watch press conference, because he was like basically laying down on the table as they asked him questions. I know he doesn't like the media, but can you show a little bit of respect to the media, please? Just announce. Anyway,
I agree.
so I got to give props to Harden. I may not like the trade, but he's come here and he's played his ass off. He's had a triple-double on Saturday. It was his first game. 34 points last night. And here's the key: 41 minutes last night. He's been great, like I said. But that last part scares me. The starters have no one else to fall back on. That's the problem with no depth. That was the problem with this trade. He
I
played
agree.
41 minutes. Kevin Durant played 35 minutes. But with Kyrie back, hopefully they can do something about it.
And the depth is always key, like I always say.
Look at your Laker team. I know last night was a tough one for you. Are you upset by that? I kind of hope you're angry about it.
Well, I was angry about it. Obviously, it's a bad loss. I
Tough,
always try and
really
take
bad.
a look at games and take a look. Well, what's the positive thing I can take a look out of the game?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, first of all, I say, the bench played well again.
Right.
The positive thing I could take out of it is because they blew a pretty decent lead in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. They did.
And
It was
and
a
my
fun
thing,
game though. For a neutral fan, it was
yeah.
fun.
And my thing is that, what? Let's take this moment. Let's go back and saw what happened, and make sure use this as a learning lesson as we get ready for the playoffs.
Right.
To make sure when we're in a situation like this in the playoffs, this doesn't happen again. So my thing is that I'm more learning as at the fourth quarter as a learning experience with a new team, a lot of new guys. Take that as a learning experience in the regular season. That would be my thing.
Right. And I will say this because this is what I noticed. When LeBron's losing, he does not get so kind to the referees.
No,
He's a bit of a sore
well,
loser.
I really don't think anybody gets kind to the referees when they're losing.
I mean, no, there were two obvious travel calls on him late in the game, and he took it out on the refs. But
He
I mean,
did,
it was
but
two blatant travels.
that would be my thing on the game. Take this as a learning experience.
That's fair. And what's that date we were talking about the other day? Let me
February 18th.
see. February 18th. All hell is gonna
And
break loose.
yeah, and by the way, Joe, the Lakers have 2 days off heading into last night's game, or 2 days off again heading into the Bucks game.
It's a good
That's
rest.
interesting.
Yeah, good
It's
rest right
good.
there.
And the one thing I would say is that when they lost yesterday, I figured you can't win every single game.
Mhm.
It's just not going to happen. You're going to lose some games.
You're right.
Um, the other thing I would say is that give props to the Warriors. I mean, they made the plays in the end. I mean, credit. Got to give credit where credit is deserved.
Right.
They
And
made the plays.
we've go ahead. Sorry.
And then one more thing I would say is too. I texted you earlier is that when the Nets lose a game early in the season, Joe is sometimes of a nut. When the Nets lose a game, I got to call up the local authorities to make sure everything's okay. Got to send out police squads and everything. When I lose a game, I get a little mad, kick the pillow, stuff
Because
like that.
you have a championship under your belt.
And our
Me,
record's a little bit better.
that's true. I haven't seen one of my teams win a championship since 2011. Now, 2011, I was about 7 years old. I don't remember that. I don't remember that too much.
But Joe, the one thing I would say is too is the reason why Harden's playing well because in his last game against the Rockets, the defending champions whooped him, and I think he wants revenge back at them.
Oh, come on!
I'm
Really?
telling you, and I think that's and the other thing too is I hate to say this, but I think the Nets and the Lakers a little bit for the regular season they look bored. I think they want the playoffs to start.
No, well, the Nets better not be bored because they don't look like they're ready to play the Lakers right now.
I understand that. I'm just saying I think the Lakers a little bit, and the Clippers too. I think they look a little bit bored.
Well, this thing we bash the Clippers a lot in here. Mainly, maybe it's because you're a Laker fan. And there's the obvious rivalry, but
Yeah,
they're right there with you. Only a half game back.
yeah. Like I said before, I hope we get to see the Clippers in the playoffs. I hope we play them. I want to beat the best,
right,
to win the whole thing.
You're right. And I wanted to save this for the last. It's a new segment I'm introducing. I didn't tell you about this, but it's going to be stupid things I hear in sports media. And on today's agenda, you're going to see him a lot. Colin Cowherd. He said, "Did you see this at all?"
I don't know why. I don't like Colin Cowherd.
I don't either. I don't either. But this is what he said: the NFL should postpone the game until Mahomes is ready.
What? Excuse me?
That's what I'm saying, right? Imagine. I wish he went up to like Bills fans and said that to their face and see what they would have did.
Yeah, like I said before, injuries are a part of the sport. You got to deal with them.
Right. And if he said that to Bills fans, he would have to been escorted out by Secret Service and onto his.
I don't know if he would have made it out.
Yeah, I don't know if he would even want to made it out, but yeah, there's that. Here's the thing we did today, Trevor. So we're coming up on 1 hour show. It's been 7 consecutive shows at over an hour. We need 60 more seconds to make it an hour. I really want to make it to an hour. How can we fill this minute?
Well, I'll tell you this, Joe. I am going to be watching the hockey tonight. I'll be watching the basketball. I will be watching some college basketball too. And all I could tell you is that, Joe, is to get this minute done is that it's burger night at my house.
There you go.
So I will be having burgers with some nice big potato and broccoli. That's for my dinner.
Will you do any toppings on the burgers or no? Like lettuce, tomato,
chili
mayo?
sauce, chili sauce.
The spicy sauce?
No, just regular Heinz chili sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like tomato or lettuce on your burger?
I like lettuce sometimes.
Lettuce sometimes. What about mayonnaise?
No, I'm not a big mayo fan. So.
I've recently taken a liking to mayo. And mayo on the burger with a little bit of ketchup, it's like a great burger sauce. All right, 10 more seconds till an hour. So I will say this right now. I'm watching The Office on TV. You like The Office, Trevor?
I watch it sometimes. I like Criminal Minds. That's my show.
Criminal Minds. All right, we made it to an hour, so Trevor can go enjoy his burger night. I'm Joe Morales. That's Trevor Markowski. You can get me on Twitter at Joe Morales_. This has been the MDM.